Over the last couple of weeks we've answered some questions, which is good. From our analysis to date, we know that geography, gender, and academic background play no part in the popularity of posts on the forum. This week we're going to look at some characteristics in some of our specific posts. Gardeners, defenders, balloonists, and jokers. 4 concepts that I think I've discovered whilst analysing various posts. Firstly, Zat has kicked off a very thought-provoking debate around why forums exist, and the output of this debate was very interesting. Zat is a very good example of a gardener. In his threads he sows a seed, nurtures it, and prunes off any unnecessary debate. I've got 2 visualisations of threads that Zat has been very active in that hopefully illustrate this point. Okay, let's look at why forums exist. Here, Zat plants the seed with the initial point of questioning the purpose of the forum itself. This provokes debate. But it's quickly derailed, and it takes a post from Lady Jane to bring it back on track. At this point, Zat's seedling sprouts into a different direction, and he asks the community to consider best practice around forum posting. This provokes further debate, and Zat himself keeps his plant growing by adding ideas of his own to the thread. We see growth in numerous directions as more and more members contribute to the debate. As any gardener would, Zat is very protective over his plant and does everything he can to keep the weeds of distraction and derailment from hurting his creation. But it's very obvious that Zat isn't monopolising this thread. He's very keen for it to grow in whatever direction it should grow in. So there you go, there's the finalised thread, and as you can see, Zat1, the original post here, is now almost dwarfed by the sheer number of ideas, discussions and debates it's generated. Every time the forum looks like going off topic, Zat's effectively sent it in another direction. You can see down here with Zat3, which is where Zat suggests different ways of posting. Moving on, here's Zat6, his 6th post, which provokes more debate. And then again, there's further debate here when Deep Thought gets involved, and also then Zat comments, and several people comment on Zat's next one, and we end up with this highly diverse debate that's kind of sprouted off in lots of different directions, and a lot of this is down to Zat's careful and studious studying of the post. Here's another of Zat's posts. This one's called Who's to Blame, and it's probably from about a month, 6 weeks ago, and it was a really interesting debate about where Zat effectively placed the responsibility of a lot of society's ills at the door of scientists, and it was a really interesting debate because a lot of people vehemently disagreed with that, and then when questioned had to work very hard to provide evidence as to why they felt it wasn't the case. And again, we see this big post in the middle. This is Zat's first post. If we zoom in on that, we can see a number of small posts coming off it, and then as we progress through the debate, you can see various people getting involved, and it was this line here of Chaz, Stark Raving, Germany Tea, and so on that initially progressed the debate. You can see it doesn't take long, only 4 posts before Zat's involved again, progressing the debate, encouraging things. Here it looks like we're going to get off track, and Zat brings things together. At Zat9 and Zat10 he actually references the original post himself, and again brings things back on track, stops things from going off on a tangent. Over here, Zat12 and 13, again he's bringing people together. At the end here, with Zat19 and 20, he's very much actively involved in the debate, and again down here at Zat21 he continues to progress the debate. These are all traits of the gardener, where they're actively involved in their post, they know the outcome that they want to achieve, and they continue to remain on track and ensure that the debate remains on track. Right, so that was gardeners. Let's consider our next group, defenders. A defender defines a position and then defends it at all costs and from all angles. King's Chosen kindly identified the next thread for analysis, and I think is a great example of the defensive mindset. The thread is called "How Can You Tell Me This Wasn't God?" by Norma Wes-Jean. This is Norma Wes-Jean's only post on the forum, and it's very long, and initially it attracted a lot of responses to the original post. This isn't uncommon. We see it on a number of forum posts where one person posts a comment and lots of people comment on that original post. In this case, it was significant. A large number of people came in and posted on the original post. I think part of this was because Norma Wes-Jean didn't respond, so there were just lots of people coming in on that original post. There are a couple of subplots that develop. Girly Man and Lady Jane and various other people have discussions, but nothing major starts to develop until an individual called BJ God's Image turns up. He writes two posts, one of which is a response to some of the comments made by Ben. This immediately provokes a response from King's Chosen, and we see the defender lay in for a long siege. BJ God's Image attempts to maintain his position from a continued barrage of debunking from King's Chosen and a few other supporters, until after an incredible 28 posts he finally gives up and goes quiet. This is totally different from the Gardener. The defender simply wants to hold position, whilst the Gardener wants the debate to grow. In this particular thread, Satan69 arrives late to the party, comments on the original post, and then Lilith comments on both Satan's post and the stagnating King's Chosen BJ God's Image debate, and this effectively joins up the visualization, creating the kind of ring that you can see in front of you. Let's move on to the Balloonist. I chose this title for two reasons, well, three actually. Firstly, I like balloons, I think they're kind of cool. But also, on every balloonist debate I've analysed, there is a balloon of debate, where the community builds on the original debate. Secondly, I like the balloon metaphor. The balloonist simply floats an idea and lets it drift off into the sky, free to go wherever it wants. In my first video, BMod does a great balloonist thread, where he asks the community to consider if imagination is more important than knowledge. Balloonists differ from gardeners in that they don't try and keep the debate on track. They allow the thread to go wherever it wants, in whatever direction it wants. So you can see from this visualization from the first video, here's the balloon of debate rising from the original post, and we get a couple of different directions of debate as people come in and make further comments. BMod actually only posts twice, once at the beginning and once at the end. He's simply throwing out an idea for the community to consider, and the community considers it. We get the balloon of debate, and whilst we don't get an outcome, the idea is discussed and explored in detail. And finally, Jokers. Jokers are literally the wild card of our deck. Jokers don't have an interest in collaborating or progressing the debate. They want something else. That something else could range from diffusing a tense or sensitive situation with a joke, to derailing a post with an amusing story, or maybe promoting a blog post or video that they found interesting. Jokers can be in turns profound, clever, funny, and frustrating, but they share the stage with everyone else. Let's consider these four groups in a visual way. Here's 0, and here's 100. Let's call this the outcome axis. Here's 100 again, and we'll call this the collaboration axis. Now let's plot our four groups on here. Our gardeners, defenders, balloonists, and jokers. It would be crass to conclude that gardeners are the best because they are high on both axes. Just because you try and grow something doesn't necessarily mean you'll be good at it. It would also be stupid to conclude that jokers are the worst. If we look at the post that garnered the most likes on the "How You Can Tell Me This Wasn't God" thread, we can see that they came from Stark Raving, FSM Scott, Irksomai, Talladega Tom, and Chaz. I would broadly classify Tom's as a very funny Joker type post, and the others are all defender type posts, short, succinct attacks that articulately debunk the original post. Neither gardeners nor balloonists even featured because they weren't required. I'll leave you with this thought. The graph isn't a league table, it's a toolkit. The best forum posts are ones that encourage all four behaviours, that are entertaining, that propagate ideas, that are well argued, and make strong points that grow in the right direction. The reason that our forum is so successful and continues to grow is because we have people that are capable from all walks of life and all backgrounds to be able to express themselves in so many different ways. Probably our strongest forum posters can pick and choose from this toolkit as they require and as they want based on what they're seeing on the forum. Hope you found that interesting. Cheers.